Namaste, my friend. Let us close your eyes for a few minutes. You close your eyes. I am conscious of closing my eyes. Make your body comfortable so you are conscious of your body. Adjust and align all the parts of the body so that there is no unease in any part of the body. You are conscious, you are aware of the body. And then look at the entire body mentally. What it means? You means that you are conscious, you are aware of the body. And your experience is comfort and steadiness. In that state, the mind changes its direction from the world outside to inside. And the moment the mind changes the direction, the mind faces unwelcome, uninvited thoughts again and again and again. So we replace it anytime, every time. We replace it anytime, every time. And what is how to replace it? That you have been doing it. Any thought, at least when you are in a meditation, and especially the first step, any unwanted thought comes, let it be there. Do not fight with that thought. But ask your mind to start Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Let there be a well-being for all. All unwelcome thoughts may be present, but now you are consciously introducing a thought in the mind with a feeling, with an understanding and the knowledge of the well-being. Well-being is a common factor for all. So what is going to happen? The mind that is attached to any event, any person, any situation is going to loosen that attachment. Well-being, and your mind expands. The expanded mind is a happy and the quiet mind. Contracted mind is an unhappy mind. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Let there be peace for all. Because you develop an ability to see and discover the peace not only in you, but in everyone. So what happens that the mind can search and find and live in peace in any situation with anyone in the world outside, in any situation. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Let there be a wholeness in all. What is the masses here? The rest of the thoughts, any thought you think of it, or any thought that enters into your mind pertaining to the world has a sense of incompleteness. Any thought related to any object, any person, oh, that person makes me happy, means a sense of incompleteness in me. If that person comes to me, sits with me, that makes me, oh, or that the other person makes me unhappy. In both the cases, I feel the sense of incompleteness. So, what is very important? The most important that I should discover the sense of completeness. That is all about the Eastern wisdom is. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Let there be an auspiciousness for all. When a moment is lived consciously from inside, that is what is known as the auspiciousness. It is always present within, but it is veiled by a thought seeking pleasure, seeking happiness outside. That's one explanation. So you are singing and you're not at all worried and concerned about unwanted, unwelcome thought that is entering into your mind. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. You can say it loudly or you can say it mentally also. Om. So when you are saying Om, move the mind deep inside the heart in the space. Allow the mind to move into the space by saying Om. You will find out the mind seemingly stops, and there you drop Shanti and stay there. You have reached to a point of awareness where no situation, no condition, no person, no object outside dictates, influences, changes your state. When we have that state, we recognize it, we live there, and that's aha moment. We have found. We have the glimpse of the real nature. It is also known as transcending the mind. It is also known as going beyond the mind. How simple it is. So the question arises, stay there in that state. So question arises that how to enjoy my friends and family. If you are into that state, that moment of calm and the peace that is recognized, known by you, inside you, and then you come outside. What do you mean by come outside? You are living, thinking, and speaking and acting with that state. So, whether it's a friend or whether it's an enemy, whether it's a family or a stranger, the inner state do not change. It is not changing due to the situation outside. Pay attention. It is not a situational happiness. It is not a situational sorrow and grief because they are outside. I'm answering your email that you sent. To stay present and focus on the. To stay present means the same thing. Just say, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And you stop. You're living in that present moment. That present moment is not in terms of digits 5 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 minutes, 20. No, it's a timeless moment. And that is what we are. So that is not at all affected by any situation or a person outside. So you are able to maintain that calmness and peace. That is the goal of life I discussed in the last talk. Goal of life never changes. Goal in life always changes. Situation changes. People changes. Those who like you today will dislike. So, what is our goal of life? To find that peace inside. That peace does not depend on a person who likes you or who dislikes you. So, you remain the same. Oh, thank you. You dislike me. That's the nature of the world. Thank you very much. Oh, you like me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Look forward to upcoming things, not worry and imagine how things will be. Look forward for upcoming things. Yes, every moment in the world is a new opportunity. Only one question is there: how do we look at that moment? Is the mind full of stress and sorrow and the grief, likes and dislikes and reaction, and then we see the world. The world will always be gloomy, full of challenges and stress and grief. And then we start thinking negatively. I believe you are getting it. Not dragged in old thoughts and old thoughts and the memories only come when we have a sense of emotional dependence on the world. So I'm emotionally dependent, say for example, on you, then what will happen? I am attached. So when I am attached, then what will happen? My mind will keep on seeking peace and happiness from you. And now my mind will drag me from all kinds of crazy thoughts in my life. Are you understanding? So be happy with what I have done, with what have been accomplished. A wonderful thought. We are going to understand that in detail. And so you have written the goal of life to be in the state of mind where things just are. The world outside is changing, people are changing, relations are changing, experiences are changing. That is, the world is in constant flux. My body is changing. Now, what is that state of the mind where we perceive the things as they are? That is my real nature. That never changes. So if I make center of my living the world outside that is constantly changing, I will be carried away. But if the center of my life is my real self, my real nature that never changes, that will reflect the mind, that will not allow the mind to get carried away by likes and dislikes, victory and defeat, high and low, the aging body, anything. So I feel the sense of the freedom. That is what the freedom is. That is what the liberation is. And that is what we say, awaken to our true nature. Open your eyes now, slowly, and keep on listening. You see that the entire journey of the Eastern wisdom is to move the world, move the mind inside. So it means we are moving away from the world outside to inside. What it means? The world of people, place, time, events, and objects are present. But why we are moving? With a clarity and understanding that they are not the cause of happiness, neither sorrow nor happiness. Should we then not live in the world? No, no, that is not the case. We are simply saying do not superimpose happiness or peace or love or truth and wisdom on any object in the world outside. They are not the source of happiness. That is the meaning that the moving away from the world. So once you have discovered that peace and happiness inside, then live in the world. Then think, speak, and act in the world out of that real nature, out of that peace and happiness. So now we have bridged the goal of life and goal in life together. So first is that moving away, going inside, perfectly settled within, awaken to the real self, and now allow the real self to move in the mind, to think and speak and act in the world. So you are in peace, you are conscious, you are aware. With that awareness, with that peace, you talk to me or talk to anyone. So, person A is not happy, or maybe the person A says you something nasty, but the peace is outside. You are expressing in peace and happiness. It doesn't affect you. Why? You instantly realize this world is not the source of sorrow or grief or peace and happiness. So that is the way we should move from the goal of life to the goals in life. But why we say that? Are you thinking that you can change the people outside? The people who dislike you, who says you something nasty, can you change those people? No. Only we can change ourselves. We cannot change the world. Buddha could not change. Jesus could not change. But why it is so? What is offered as a world, that the true nature of the world goes with the opposites: likes, dislikes, heat, cold, profit, loss, victory, defeat, attachment, that is the very nature of it. Can you change the nature of the world? So no. But I have to live in the same world? Yes. How to live in the same world? Not to be affected. How not to be affected? The mind is purified. I have removed the ignorance. I understand that nothing in the world is a source of peace and happiness. Are you getting it? Pay attention. So I have to live consciously from moment to moment. Clear? We have lot of misunderstanding, uh, and the question pertains to the misunderstanding. What are the things required for self-discovery, for realizing, for recognizing our true nature? Think about the wealth. Can the wealth buy happiness? Can the richness buy happiness? Can attachment brings that peace and happiness in my life? Whether it is a wealth, whether it is a recognition, whether anything in the world, any relationship, do you think that the age, gender, color is a helper or is a barrier to the journey of the self discovery? No. It is independent at any age, with any gender, with any color. Do you see the importance of this statement? Where we are, whatever we are doing, the relations outside, we can find that happiness and peace, knowledge, and the wisdom. That is the goal of our life. You see the beauty of the Eastern wisdom. The masters, for the last more than 5,000 years, they have been teaching one thing. They don't want to give you a chance to suffer. Why? They say peace is your essential nature. Where is the essential nature of a sugar? The sweetness. Have you ever heard that sugar becomes sour, bitter? The moment we have a word sugar, sweetness. Or is your mind instantly reminds you of your essential nature at all time, in all situations. Say yes. So if you say yes, peace, happiness, love, and wisdom is there. That is the beauty, the wonder, or the amazing teachings of the masters of the East. Peace is your essential nature. A person in front of you dislike you, but peace is your essential nature. Will you get affected? Will you feel sorrow? Will you react? If you remember that the peace and happiness are your essential nature. Try this out internally. You're not doing anything outside. You're not rationalizing. You're not saying sorry to anyone. Internally. So, what will happen the first time you will recognize that I can refuse to be miserable and I can keep myself into the state of peace and calm, love, and the joy. We are still talking, but we are talking practically at this very moment. Can you or are you ready to make a choice for peace and happiness 24 by 7 in any situation with anyone, in all the relations, immaterial, whether they like you or dislike you? One thing is clear that as a human being, we can make a choice. Animals do not make a choice, cannot make a choice. Jesus and the Buddha and our great masters, they declared that these are the moments when you make that choice, you are open to the existence. And when you are open to the existence, you open to the blessings and the grace. You open to the blessing and the grace at all time, in any situation, in all relations. You are done. We have You are open now to the goal of life, that is to see. You see that I have to be available in order to receive that grace and the blessing. I have to be available to be in peace and happiness in spite of any situations and relations. I have to be available. Now, my old mind, my old thoughts are available, so the mind has taken over you. That is what we have been understanding, whether we work on the mind or the mind works on us. That is why we are learning. Our journey continues. Why the journey continues? By listening and learning, contemplating and reflecting. Again, you have already clarified the goal of your life and the goal in life. So, a couple of more thoughts that contains the essence, the knowledge, and the wisdom. Does anyone prevent you not to smile? Or you hold your smile because you dislike a person? Think, think. Does any person says you get irritated because of me? Or I irritate myself? Tell me, are you understanding that question? Is anyone knocks the door and say, you, my friend, get unhappy with me, get irritated to me? Did had anyone ever said you? Answer is no. Then why I am getting irritated? Why I am in anxiety? Because I have chosen. Why I have chosen? Because of the likes and dislikes. But why I have likes and dislikes? Expectations. Why I have expectations? Because of a sense of emptiness. Because the mind says peace and happiness is outside. You see, I superimposed happiness on a person I dislike. When I meet that, I get irritated. No one says me. Are you getting it? It's a little subtler principle. So now ask yourself, don't I have an opportunity to celebrate? To continuously receive grace and the blessing all the time? How? To keep the mind open to make a right choice, not to be affected by any situation outside. Whether the person A enters and meets you or a person B. So your mind is aware, you are moving with the peace and happiness, you are not moving with the likes and dislikes, reactions and response. Then what happens? This mind opens to the existence. What does that mean, opens to the existence? First, you are not at all dictated and influenced by any situation, person outside. And opening also means that your mind stays in that state of calm, kindness, peace. You are learning Eastern wisdom, others are not. Others will continuously behave like that. You are learning Eastern wisdom, so you understand. You discover the fine thread of the mind, not to be influenced and dictated by any situation, and continue to move in peace and happiness in order to receive the blessing and the grace of the existence. What do you mean? You may ask, what do you mean? Is existence offering us objects, people, event, and situations? Yes. Had you ever thought that we are going to meet and continue the journey of the Eastern wisdom for so long, with your commitment? So you had that commitment, that is also a grace and a blessing of the existence. I have a commitment, that is also the grace and the blessing. Are you ready to listen and accept that even if a person dislikes you, hates you, that is also a grace and a blessing, because it teaches you a level of endurance. It it teaches you, am I conscious? Am I in peace and happiness? Am I moving with the peace and happiness? That is also. Each situation is an opportunity. Every situation, every condition, every person, every problem is an opportunity to rise in consciousness, to make a choice, to love and be loved, to care and be cared. Oh, my honey is taking care of me by pointing me that you are not doing the things correctly. You don't allow your mind to be dictated. Then you are always already open to the grace and the blessing. You realize it. You respond to him or her. It's a very subtler principle. I believe you are understanding that. So we are practically living in that state. Suffering, grief, pain, reaction, trigger, irritation are the problems of the mind, not the problems of the situation, person, things outside. When I say now, look at this person and hate that person, will you do that? Not possible. It comes from a deeper layers of the mind. When it comes, when we are not open to the grace and the blessing. What do you mean by opening to the grace and the blessing? First, you are aware that nothing outside in the world is a source of peace and happiness. So, okay. So now the world has created a situation offered to you is an opportunity for you to evolve. With that opening, we recognize the grace and the blessing. We recognize, and then the mind changes. That mind lives constantly in the grace and the blessing. Don't you see the ant, the mosquito, your pets? The very existence allowed your pet to live, to exist. So poured, it has poured a sense of kindness, a care in you is manifesting through your mind. That's why you are taking care of your pets and the living species there. Is it not a grace? Does any of your pet consciously know that you are taking care of them? No. But you are doing it. So when we block the mind, how? By getting dictated and influenced by the world outside of people, relations, and situations, we stop receiving the grace and the blessing. We create a blunder in our life. Any person outside, any situation outside, mind perceives and mind says this is terrible. One option. Now the mind says through the intellect that this is the problem, let me accept the problem and solve it. Find the option. Don't get confused. So you open to the grace and the blessing all the time. Another problem that our mind face, that we do not solve the problem where it is located. You are hungry, you eat food. So where the hunger is located in our belly, you feel the dryness of the mouth, you need a water. So where this problem is there, you find the solution. You're feeling cold, warm clothes. Feeling hot, you run AC. Clear? When we have problems in the mind, means the anxiety, fear, duality, hate. We never search the solution inside the mind. We start searching the solution outside. And we miss the grace and the blessing. Oh, that guy is crazy. I hate that guy. So your mind is already outside, but your mind is feeling that hatred. Even if we change the outer situation and do not change the mind, the past impressions will return again and again. That is what you have written. I want to get rid of the past impression. So, what I said, we try to change the situation outside to be happy and peaceful, but that situation will return again. And it will cause the same problem. One option. Now, if I change the mind, let the situation come again and again, I'm not affected. I have already developed an endurance. I'm already conscious that peace and happiness are within me. I'm not affected by the likes and dislikes. Situation outside, one thing. Mental state inside, second thing. Intellectual state, deeper inside, third. And the real self, fourth. Real self, not at all affected, dictated, guided by any situation in the world. Even by the mind, it is not affected. It is not affected by the intellectual state. That is what we have to reach there. But who will start the journey? The mind. I should recognize situation outside in the world are made up of opposites. They will continue to come. But I'm not affected. So the mind, through the knowledge, that is the intellectual state. Knowledge is always available. Is knowledge always available or not? I forget that. I forget, that is ignorance. So what happens when I forget? Then I'm influenced by the outer situation. And then the whole vicious circle starts, that accumulates, creates more impression, accumulates more impression in our life. We are talking about the grace and the blessing. So there are blessing and the grace by the existence. There is a grace and the blessing by a teacher who is known as the Guru in the Eastern wisdom. There is a blessing and the grace by knowledge that lives in your intellect, goes to the mind, do not allow to be influenced or dictated. And the last grace and the blessing by the real self. The grace and the blessing by the real self. You recognize, you are living into that state. So there is a constant grace and the blessing. Lower than that, that is the highest grace. Lower than that, there is a grace by the knowledge. Knowledge of the real self, knowledge of the ignorance, knowledge about the impurity of the mind and the purity of the mind. Lower than that is the grace and the blessing by the Guru, by the teacher. And lower is the grace by the existence. Let us understand all the four with clarity. You know that every living species on the earth planet or the world survive due to the grace and the blessing of their existence. Every living species, every animal, from the ant to the elephant, was given necessary knowledge, intelligence, organs to survive, continue to survive. Why don't we think we are given by the existence the intellect to choose and to survive, to continue to have the grace and the blessing, but we think otherwise. The mind starts blaming and complaining and reacting. Drop this all. You will find the grace and the blessing of the existence will continue at every moment in your life. We have conditioned our life. No, I did not understand such a simple way. Animals do not feel jealous, do not react. A tiger looking at the eagle does not react why the God or the existence has given the wings to the eagle to fly. I should also have these. Are you understanding? Now think for a while how our mind thinks. He has it, I don't have it. She has it, I don't have it. That goes purely at the emotional level, very subtler level. You go to the mall, you see a couple, oh, what a wonderful couple. That blocks the mind. So at those moments, these principles comes, and if they enter into your mind, and your mind thinks, sex, food, sleep, safety, are all programmed like any computer. So that couple is wonderful. Let existence bless him, because I know that peace and happiness are always within me. They are my essential nature. I live in a higher awareness. Otherwise, I start living in a low level of self awareness, like the animals. Then my choices, jealousy, hatred, expectation, envy, reaction, and resistance, that triggers the past impression you wrote in the mail. I should also be aware not to trigger any impression in the past, because that will multiply. So we can make a choice: kindness, peace, calmness, happiness, joy. Let us pay a little more attention to the goal of life. ask this question again and again. If I say that this should be the most important statement in this talk, do we know who we are? So when we ask ourselves who we are, we always think in reference to the world outside. We make a judgment about ourselves based on the object and the things outside. Are you clear? So we make the judgment of what we are. At the same time, we have some fear and anxiety and duality and a conflict. So the mind in ignorance do not recognize and realize that I do not know my true nature. And I get carried away. The moment I get carried away, I lose my level of self awareness. I fall into emotional attachment. And that is what you told me, that no past thought should drag me. My intellect or my mind should instantly become aware the moment the mind is carried away by the reaction, anxiety, duality, and a conflict. No, 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 that is not my essential nature. And you start moving deeply, deeper within, ready to receive the grace and the blessings. One student, I told her last year, and then she continued the journey. Do we need the air to breathe? Yes, we need air to breathe. Does this air sends the bill to our house that you have been breathing so long and here is your bill? Does the earth sends us the bill to put our feet there? Does the water sends us the bill? Municipality is different, but otherwise the water not. Food, space, all comes to us unconditionally. That is the grace and the blessing by our existence. Whether good or bad, any person, good or bad, man and women of any age, color, water, air, earth, space are offered. So she started thinking in that way, that every time, and her mind totally changed. Thought is a product of knowledge. So if we think in this way, need not to think that my past impression will drag me. No. We break our limited ego and we receive the grace and the blessing. That is the lowest level, but lowest is also the greatest. So you see, if you say the grace and the blessing, we are a human being, we can think. No animal, no pet in your house can ever think, can make a choice. And they are always available to us. You look at a person you hate, The choice is always available because I can think, I can make a choice of what to do, why I should get irritated. Let me welcome in peace and happiness. Let me check how much endurance I have. Think of this. Find out the five, just think of the 5 ways of grace and the blessing in the world offered to us. Whether mind dislikes a person, but I have an intellect to think, not to allow that dislike to take over me and live into that calmness. No living creature has that ability. Second, if I number, second grace and the blessing that we can convert problem into an opportunity. We can convert our likes and dislikes into calmness, into kindness, into peace. Because we know that we cannot change the world, but the problems that we face in a given situation can be changed by making a right choice. We have a choice either to suffer or to celebrate life, even to celebrate your aging, celebrate your being, having a particular celebrate your life. The God has graced us. I have to think in that way. Another grace and the blessing, we can learn, we can gain knowledge, we can have a deeper insight, we can understand. Not possible to the other living creatures. How many people knows that peace, happiness, love, and wisdom are our essential nature? They are within us. You think in that way and you see 50% of the anxiety drops down. But if you don't remember, the mind says, now I will make you remember all the stuff that you have done in the past. Our master says, the greatest blessing and the grace is that we are a human being. We live in a higher self-awareness. We can make a choice instantly. The intellect is available 100%. But when the mind takes over, we forget it. We are given the discernment. We are given the power of dispassion, not present in any of the living species. So being a human or born as a human being itself is the greatest of the grace and the blessing. We can learn and listen. We can bring this knowledge from the head to the heart, means the mind, from the mind to the action. We can realize this. Not possible in other living beings. Tiger, other animals, eagle, mosquito. Mosquito will sit on our body to suck the blood. They know it. We have a choice as a human being We know the importance of serenity, self restraint, endurance, purity, forgiveness, uprightness. We know the importance of it. No other animals, no other living species. Do you see that? So when we understand, when we think, oh, let me live into the state of the kindness and the nobility and the calmness and the peace, oh, mind returns with the reaction, you say, leave it, who cares? So, with these grace and the blessings, if you continue to treat the path, we find the real self. Commitment. Commitment to yourself. Commitment for a life that is totally transformed. Another grace and the blessing is of the right knowledge. We are studying the right knowledge, we are reflecting on it, we are doing the practice, and slowly and steadily we are rising in consciousness, we are reaching to the goal. So today's talk throws a question. Are you ready to receive and open to the grace and the blessing all the time? From the time you wake up in the morning until you retire to your bed, you will find out within a week the mind transforms. Thank you.